Grab your spears and rakes, your tomahawks, Seminole fans. You're watching and listening to The Warpath, the weekly collaboration between the Osceola.com and Warchant.com. My name is Nick Carlisle, staff writer for the Osceola. That is Matt Lacerre, recruiting writer for Warchant. Welcome to the show. Matt has the travel bug right now, and not like a travel bug, like a sickness bug, but he's just all over the country. Anywhere that's not here. Orlando last weekend, Tampa this weekend. To watch his Stars lose in overtime last night to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, worthwhile trip though. Worthwhile trip.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I got a headache this morning and a little tired or nauseous if you pick up what I'm putting down. But it's it was fun. It was, at least it was overtime. You know, that's still a 5-game point streak for the Stars. You still get they lost the right way. You still get a point in hockey for losing in overtime.
Yes,
which I don't know if I really agree with that, but that's the way that it works.
Have you ever been to a Lightning game before?
No, that was the first time. Amelie or Benchmark International, whatever it's called, was awesome.
Yeah. No, I'm a Panthers fan, very well known. Huge Panthers fan. But
which the Stars play them on Saturday.
Oh, okay. But going into the Lightning arena, the Tesla coils that they fire off when they score goals, I think that's one of the best. I think goal celebration atmospheres are really just like one of the best. Like, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but I guess it's a gimmick. Would you call it a gimmick?
Probably is. Yeah.
But I think that's by far one of the best in the entire league. Like, I've seen hockey games across the country. Lightning games are some of my favorites, even though it
was really fun.
I really hate them. I don't like them. I'm probably pissing off quite a few people that listen to this podcast.
Do we want to make a bet for Saturday's game?
Sure. What do you want to bet?
Loser has to wear the other jersey next show.
Are you gonna be able to get me a Dallas Stars jersey?
Oh yeah, we'll be fine.
Okay,
we'll figure it out. Worst case,
how the hell am I gonna get? Maybe you wear a Panthers hat or something.
Yeah, wear something of the other team. Doesn't have to be jersey.
Okay, we'll find a way to do it. Okay,
we'll figure it out. That's
shake on it. Yep. Okay, there we go. God,
they only play twice a year, so
they do, and unfortunately, everybody on Florida's roster is banged up right now. We're down Sasha, we're down Cooley, we're down a whole bunch of guys. So I might be wearing. I don't know. I feel like I might be wearing some Dallas gear next week on the show. So into the recruiting, out from a bye week into a visit week. Matt Lacerre. Couple of official visits coming into Florida State this weekend. A couple that you and I both feel pretty good about. One that maybe Florida State is going to have to make up some ground in the next couple of days as this prospect is trending elsewhere. Where do you want to start?
I think we could start with the easy ones with Fat Boy Wiggins and Dalen Green, right? Like those are the ones you probably think you have the best shot at. Wiggins is interesting because I could see. Georgia, like he visited Georgia last week, right? Or the last couple of weeks for Wiggins. So you could see that happening. But when I was texting about the Norvell stuff, when the statement came out with him 2 weeks ago, he seemed like he liked the Noles, I guess is the best way to put it. Like it seemed like it was trending well in Florida State's direction. Now they're still at the battle Auburn, who's also has a coaching issue right now and could be on the hot seat. Now, if Georgia comes in and really makes a push here, I think that could make it very interesting. Again, you're talking about a kid from Langston Hughes, so the Atlanta area. Whenever Georgia comes calling for those kids, you're always going to listen. And it doesn't even matter where they are. Whenever Georgia comes calling, kids are going to listen, especially over Florida State, who's in turmoil right now, and you don't really know what the future's looking like. Now, I do know that when I asked him about the statement stuff, he was like, it makes them look like to me that they are a true family, that they're giving Mike Norvell this chance, or they're trying to keep Norvell. So it's interesting because,
it's an interesting way to look at it.
And I have heard some recruits have told me that the messaging has been that Mike Norvell isn't going anywhere. So, it's all kind of interesting the way you look like, because you have to look at it. You still need to look at your options, right? Like it's just so confusing to me that like you can be that confident in Norvell or in Florida State right now.
Now, when you say the messaging from inside Florida State that Mike Norvell is not going anywhere, you're inferring that he's going to be here next season. That is what you're inferring by that. Just to clarify.
That's what I think the recruit said. I'm directly quoting what the recruit told me. I would think that's what he thinks. Yeah. So it's if the staff didn't think they could save their jobs right now by winning out, you're not doing your job.
Right.
Right. So, like, I think you have to say, like, hey, man, we're going to win out. We're getting this turned around. Look at, and, the kids, like, they're probably going, we're going to win out. We're going to get this turned around. We didn't do it against Alabama. Like, we know it's there. We just need to refine it. And we need to correct the mistakes of what we've been doing. Let me find, because I was talking to another kid about it. He said, yeah, like one of it was a defensive lineman, and Knighton was talking about how they need to fix these little mistakes to some defensive line recruits. So it's like, I do think that the staff seems to be in the headspace of, and they have to be, that you 100% should be, because you need to do your job until the end, and they're going to do that. And they believe that if they win out, they can save their jobs.
Dalen Green returning for the second straight home game. Obviously still committed to Arkansas. Has been very vocal that he is still committed to Arkansas. But do you think that this potentially is the week, especially with the win, especially with a little bit more security? Do you think that this is the week that Florida State could flip Dalen Green?
Yeah, it's so simple. Like we've said this for weeks and weeks now since Sam Pittman got fired, that this is one that we were going to keep an eye on, and it's one that we knew Florida State was still in contact there. It was more, for a little bit, it was more recruiting staffers than the coaches themselves, I think. But then as Pittman got fired and everything else started happening around the program, it became clear that the coaches wanted this kid, and that they started pushing for him more behind the scenes. And that's become more and more clear as time has gone on. He wouldn't be taking his official visit if he wasn't a take at this point, I believe. And as long as Florida State pushes for him, he's going to come to FSU. And I think that's a guy that would stick even through a coaching change if the next staff would take him.
I don't think it's exactly apples to apples, but what do you take any stock in the idea that they are very worried, and that they is Florida State in this instance, that they are worried that Maycock is going to flip to Texas, so they are turning up the heat on Dalen Green? I think the pressure on Dalen Green.
Are they mutually exclusive?
Are they mutually exclusive?
No, I don't think so at all. Okay. I agree with you on that. I think that because the push on Dalen Green, like you said, the push on Dalen Green actually started over the summer. It happened
in the summer.
Yeah, when you already had Maycock in. Because Maycock's been committed forever now at this point, so it's
March. Yeah, no,
February, I don't. Yeah, I just don't think it. I think they would take him either way. I think they do like him as a linebacker because he's interesting. I mean, it's a development piece, right? You just have to pump up the muscle, and he has grown into himself a lot over the last year. We've seen it from just him visiting and seeing him come in and out. Yep. He's been an impressive prospect to watch grow, and I think that they're betting on him growing even more if he were to come here.
Yeah, Karan Maycock, as we kind of mentioned, we mentioned this last week. It's going to be happening this week, his visit to Texas. From everything that I've heard, it feels like if this is becoming a serious push for Texas, and Florida State should be worried about losing Maycock. Obviously, one of the more long tenured commitments in Mike Norvell's class. That could be the first chip to fall in terms of all hell breaking loose with this recruiting class, especially if Florida State loses to Wake Forest on Saturday. There are a couple of Florida State commits visiting elsewhere or have visited elsewhere. Tadarius Hughes visited Nebraska last week. Everything that's coming out of that visit is that it was a good visit from Nebraska's side of things. It's inferred that Tadarius may take an official visit there. That's certainly what they're pushing for. Obviously, the chances of that get higher and higher with the more that Florida State is struggling, but it appears to be Nebraska versus Florida State right now. Miami still likes to throw their hat in the ring for that in that recruitment, but I truly believe that if Tadarius is not signing with Florida State, he's not going to Florida State. He's going to be going to Nebraska. So,
and Nebraska's been where he's flirted the most.
Exactly.
Right? He's gone to Syracuse for an official visit, but it's always felt like, and maybe over the summer, it felt like Syracuse was that biggest threat. But since the season started, since everything's gone on, Nebraska's definitely been that number one.
And if you're one of those people that are sitting there wondering why the hell Nebraska for a kid that's from South Florida, well, there are some ties there. There are some Florida ties on that Nebraska staff. Addison Williams, the current defensive backs coach, was at UCF along with Gus Malzahn, or was with Gus Malzahn last season, and Tadarius was recruited by UCF in some capacity. Also, there is a former Florida State staffer on that staff. I think it's Philip Simpson. He's a former defensive line assistant from Florida State. So there are ties for at least for Tadarius and some other prospects in the state of Florida for Nebraska. So even though that's a far way away, Nebraska does appear to have some momentum, not only with Tadarius, but with another 2026 target. We're bouncing around a little bit here on the Warpath.
Yep.
Another 2026 target that is expected into Florida State this weekend for an official visit in DeMond Lewis. Currently, it feels like Nebraska is leading here, trending currently, but a good official visit to Florida State over the weekend could change that. How do you feel with that new information that came out or this morning from Steve Wiltfong that Nebraska might be pulling away here, and it's going to take a good official visit from Florida State to bring things back in?
My opinion on this has always been, if one school's pulling away, then why is he still taking another visit? Right? It was the same thing with Jacob Curry a few weeks ago, and then he didn't take the visit. So clearly one school was pulling away. Like this one is, like if you show up on campus, things can trend either way. Like a visit can completely change where you're standing in your recruitment. Like he could come in and Florida State could give him an offer you can't refuse. And, oh, look at that. Florida State's all of a sudden trending in this one. And where was DeMond Lewis committed before? Was it Virginia Tech? And they offered him earlier this season, right?
August 24th. He wasn't committed to any other school.
Oh, he wasn't.
Actually.
Sorry, he wasn't committed. It was just his recruitment started blowing up over the summer, over beginning of this year. That's what it was. Because he's got an NC State official visit. Mississippi State is offered. So he just took that official visit to Nebraska last week. So, you know, of course he's going to be trending to Nebraska after taking the official visit. How many times have we seen that, Nick?
Yeah, a lot.
Like, let's be honest here. So let's wait and see how this visit goes before we say he's trending anywhere. It doesn't look like he has other visits scheduled yet. So I think we'll find out a lot about his recruitment after this weekend.
I think it's important for Florida State to really have a good weekend this weekend. I mean, obviously on the football field, for the future of the program, for the future of Mike Norvell, you want to have a good weekend on the football field this weekend. But in specific terms of recruiting, I mean, this is a edge rusher that you need to kind of hit on. You're starting to run out of guys. You're starting to run out of guys at the bottom of the barrel. And that's not to say that DeMond Lewis is a bottom of the barrel prospect, but in terms, you know, you got your top targets and then you got whoever else is coming into the season. It's when you kind of get to the bottom there, Matt. This is kind of a guy that you need to hit on. And I would seriously hope that with a win that Florida State is able to close. I mean, there's still no decision timeline for Cameron Wilson. There's still no decision timeline for Chris Carbon, although Chris Carbon.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about Chris Carbon for a second, too.
Yeah.
He, because, that just came out. I think was it Hayes Fawcett with the 3 or was it Steve Wiltfong? But he basically, Chris Carbon said that Georgia Tech is back trending at number 1 and his recruitment is the bottom line of the article that came out, or what he said with On3. And, you know, that's not surprising because when he came and visited and everything was on the up for Florida State, and now you're kind of in limbo, and Georgia Tech looks damn good, right? Georgia Tech's a top 10 team right now, and they don't have a hard schedule, so it's looking like they're going to go to the ACC championship and likely be in the playoff. So and that's a hometown school for you. You live in Atlanta. Now, again, we have always thought that Florida State holds some weight here. So if you start to win again and things start to trend right, I could see Florida State coming back in this one, but because the other 2 schools, so Florida State and Auburn, both are having our coaches kind of up in the air right now, right? I think if you look at betting odds, it's Mike Norvell and Hugh Freeze is next to be fired in the top 3. Legitimately, I'm pretty sure I saw that list somewhere. I scroll through Twitter too much until I'm brain dead. Especially,
hey, listen, I know it's part of the job.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be surprised how much we scroll Twitter.
Dude, it's like when I have nothing to do, that's all day. Yeah. That is my day. My working is scrolling through Twitter. But yeah, you know, Chris Carbon, still Auburn, Georgia Tech, and now Georgia Tech is back to trending. This is what happens when coaches' careers are up in the air, right? Not careers, or I guess tenure here is up in the air. You know, it's hard to trust it. And I know we're going to talk about it a little later, but, you know, floodgates might open soon, and we might see a wave of decommitments. But it's
sorry, go ahead.
I
thought you were finishing your thought. Oh no, I was just going to say, I mean, you got DeMond Lewis, you've got Cameron Wilson, you've got there's the JUCO kid whose name is escaping me, Warren. Josh Warren, that's coming in later. So there are a couple of guys still left to decide and haven't shut things down.
Well, also,
there's the kid from USF too. There's the kid from USF too.
Jamin Pickney. So, I mean, like also, I was thinking we can make this into a bigger conversation. We're kind of going off the list here. We're kind of going all over the place today because, there's not much recruiting to talk about other than this list. And this list isn't big this week because it's not a big game. It's Wake Forest, but it's
a lot like the Florida State program right now. It's a lot of everything's in limbo, and it's kind of just tiptoeing around and seeing and just kind of staying the path until something monumental happens and you can start talking about things with more probabilities.
Yeah. So what I was going to go with this is Trenton Henderson.
Yeah.
Not saying FSU is trending there or really in it there.
Totally.
but his coach did just get fired.
Yeah.
That could be something that if Mike Norvell turns this around, you end this season on a good note. Again, this is not for anything I know. It's all hypothetical.
I think you're smoking something. I think the Tesla coils inside of the Lightning's hockey stadium last night electrocuted you, short-circuited your brain. There is zero chance in hell. I agree. There's LSU firing Brian Kelly is very fascinating, and maybe we could talk about this later in the show. Although it's not necessarily recruiting, but I don't think that Henderson is ever.
Okay, let me get to the big picture part of this.
Okay, I'll let you go on your fever dream.
Trenton Henderson was just like an example of like a kid.
Okay.
So how many coaching openings are there right now? Like 10 or 11?
A lot. And there's going to be more.
And there's more coming.
Yep.
So all these recruitments are up in the air. All of them. Right? They're going to stay committed. And I was thinking about this. This is me brainstorming, and in this day and age, kids are getting paid to be committed. That's a fact that's been reported by a lot of reputable people.
Reputable.
If a kid is getting paid to be committed by the collective, which isn't connected to the staff directly, why would you decommit from a school? First off, right? Like that's probably part of the reason why these Florida kids are staying committed. If you get
probably why your Florida State commits are staying committed too.
Yeah, like it's so you leave the name there so you can get a check. Again, that's nothing that I really know, but this is me like brainstorming.
Sure.
But your recruitment's still up in the air. You're still going to be taking visits. Where do are we going to see the late signing day become popular again this cycle with all these coaches up in the air? Because some of them aren't going to get filled until after the playoff, right? Like if Ole Miss is probably going to the playoffs. If Lane Kiffin goes somewhere else, he's not going to have time to build a new recruiting class before December, right? Like that's after signing it.
Well,
but you could also do. And I talked to Josh Stewart about this. You could also do the Dallas Wilson and then opt out of your letter of intent.
Or you could also do what Cal's quarterback did. I mean, he signed with Oregon. He was on Oregon's field for practices for the Rose Bowl or whatever bowl game they were in, and then he transferred out. I think that may be more likely than a late signing period. I think there are certainly ways to attack it where, okay, you sign with the school. Then because that transfer portal window is in January now, you have time for that staff to get collected. You've got time to build a relationship. You got time to decide whether or not you want to stay in or get out. If you truly, and let's just say it's not necessarily centered around the number total that you're getting NIL compensation wise, if you genuinely have an affiliation for a program, regardless of the coaching staff that may or may not be there, who's to say that we don't see more kids? And I don't know that this is going to happen, but this is just one way to look at things. How do we know that there's not going to be more kids like a Jalen Matthews who went from Rutgers to Florida State this past offseason, who they go there, they sign, they don't like it, something happens, they don't jive the same way that they thought they were going to, coaches switch up on you, anything could possibly happen. You hop in the portal in January.
And you do also have the sorry to interrupt. You do also have the window for coaching changes to enter the portal doesn't start until the new coach gets hired now.
Right, but isn't that
so that can do it too?
Does that work retroactively though? Because that works for currently rostered players. If you were a high school recruit and you're signed,
I would say you're on the roster, right?
Yeah, but I think that has to surely we're
so deep in the weeds right now.
I know. Surely that is specifically meant for the people that were rostered prior to the firing. Like, do you have to have been on the roster during the firing in order to take advantage of the transfer portal window that occurs 5 days after the new coach gets hired or whatever the terminology is?
Yeah,
I think that it's
so
more
in the
likely
weeds right now.
I know.
We're so in the weeds.
I think that it's
I'm
more
glad I brought
likely.
this up. This is a good conversation.
If we want to take Trenton Henderson as the example, as you have done, and
Yep.
you say, well, there's a crap ton to like about LSU. It's in the SEC. It's got an incredible football atmosphere, an incredible football tradition, incredible stadium. There's a lot going for it financially right now. Sure, there's a lot of turmoil there in terms of administration and who's making the decisions. That's the Brian Kelly firing. I mean, I'm certainly not shedding tears for Brian Kelly, but that's just such a fascinating firing, especially with the fact that the governor of the state is getting involved now, and now the athletic director is on his way out. That's such a fascinating firing.
One LSU radio host listed Michael Alford as a potential candidate. That's the only hot board I've seen.
Get him out! Get him out of here! I can hear people banging down the doors. But in all seriousness, so I genuinely think it's probably more likely that, let's say, and I don't know what Henderson would be getting from LSU financially, but
Henderson is just a name example we're using of
correct, because you brought it up, because that was the name that you brought up here. I would have to imagine, look, you're a 5-star prospect. You're going to be getting a nice payday. You take that payday, and you know, obviously, I don't care that there's going to be coaching turnover right now. LSU as a program is in a much better position than a lot of SEC programs. Well, maybe I should walk that back a little. Not SEC specifically, but if you want to take a look at the situation between like an LSU or a Florida State, I think there's very clear which one's in a better position than the other. If we're comparing apples to oranges here.
Oh yeah, even if we're
talking
so
you take that payday, you sign, you see who the new coach is, you see how the new process is, and then you just hop in the portal if you don't like it.
Yeah, you could do that, or again, there's the Dallas Wilson just opting out of the deal, right?
Yeah, but I mean that was more complicated too than just that. Yes. I mean, Florida was making a late push financially, but also there was some familial things that kept Wilson closer and kept him in state.
Oh, you mean like who his agent is?
Okay. Moving on. Yeah, I wonder, because if I'm the athlete, that might be how I approach it. It's certainly not.
It's weird.
Stand-up thing that you could do, but I mean, I guess it depends on what you would rather want, Matt. Do you want to sign and early enroll and get that early process? I mean, because I guess the counterpoint to what I'm saying is, like, if you're enrolling early for a head start in terms of preparing yourself for the next level, if you're just using that because you're going to be transferring, if you're going to be transferring out in that spring, it doesn't matter because you're not going to be getting any of that development anyways.
So now you're looking why I think the late signing day could be better this year.
Well, this is why it's a conversation, Matt.
They tried to fix the calendar, and then all these firings have made you realize that it's still going to be flawed no matter what.
Well, I mean, we're consistently building the plane while flying it, and that's just college football in insert modern year here.
Yeah, and also you're not putting even the wrinkle into it of that Florida State's classes for the spring start January 6th or on that time, January 6th, January 7th. So I'm
about to talk myself back into my point real quickly because I don't know. I guess inwardly, I still think that there's something to be had with having a connection to a place and to a program as opposed to a coaching staff.
That doesn't exist anymore, Nick.
Listen, man. Come on. Can we let's just hold out hope. Let's just hold out hope.
I agree with you, but that doesn't exist anymore. It exists with Chauncey Kennan. Chauncey Kennan's your guy.
Maybe we should ask every single Division I athlete that's going to be going into college this year if they have tattoos of the school they're committed to or not. Let's see what they say.
Who's that one player who's transferred everywhere? Is it Bear Alexander, who has a Georgia tattoo and has the picture?
Name the player that has transferred anywhere. God, you really narrowed it down there, Matt. Bear Alexander, Jalen Rashada.
Well, no, because he has the Georgia tattoo on his bicep, and he took a picture on official visit, and it's just like the tattoo's clear as day, in a different uniform.
Yeah. Oh well. I don't know. I think regardless of what way it goes, I think we're going to see something that's relatively unprecedented in the next couple of months because
100%, yeah.
It's going to be an interesting new way to tackle college football, and I
Okay,
don't.
let's start saying
with
it
a
how the
Florida
national
State,
shows will.
what?
Start seeing how the national shows will. This is going to be the craziest portal cycle you have ever seen in your life.
You need to stay locked in here. Yeah. It might genuinely be this time. We're going to start
It
that hype
always
train
is.
right now.
It always is.
Also going to start the hype train for Dollar Shave Club and the new collegiate razor handles. When you rep your team, you don't stop at the jersey. Dollar Shave Club's collegiate razor handles combine grooming with glory, letting students, grads, fans, new Division I athletes, whoever, show their school spirit and style, at least before they enter the transfer portal. From the sink to the stadium, shave with school pride. Visit dollarshaveclub.com to grab your college handle today. Go Seminoles, says Dollar Shave Club. Thank you for being a sponsor of the Warpath. Maybe good to get back on track here. There are some other visitors coming in this weekend unofficially. Some interesting names. Look, I'm going to pass straight through Amari Thomas because this is another week of Amari Thomas being on the visitors list. Another probably no show by Amari. Has he actually shown up for any of those visits?
He's shown up twice, I believe, this year. And that's one that I think that there's always a pass for him just because he lives so close by and he's a top prospect. So if he decides to show up,
is it a leave the key under the mat type deal?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. Like that's if he wants to come, he can come.
DeMonte Timms 2026 defensive back commitment, Colorado commitment.
Yeah, that's what makes this interesting to me, right? And I haven't talked to the kid yet. I haven't seen like what he's looking for, what this visit means, or as we said a couple weeks ago, if it's for the show or not. Like I haven't gotten the vibe check in on that.
I don't know if anybody's for the Noles right now, but continue.
But him being committed to Colorado and visiting raises an eyebrow, doesn't it? Because normally those Colorado kids don't visit elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's my thing on that. And so like my first instinct is that for a Colorado commit to be visiting, it has to be somewhat serious there. And the conversations have been there. And it's been pretty clear that by the visits that they've had, that they want at least another DB in the cycle.
Yeah, I would say so, especially when you take a look at that, what is actually a very tiny commitment list for Dion out in Colorado.
Yeah.
Sorry, just an aside, but people that say that they want Dion kind of just makes me scratch my head a little bit, and I don't know.
I think he's going to have to medically retire.
That is probably a very fair shout.
I actually legitimately think that.
No, I think you're probably right. No, I mean, sorry to diverge, but I mean, people have been advocating, like, it's a very small, like, sect of people that would advocate for Dion. They say, well, yeah, but he gets all these really, really nice recruits. And I just don't think that people know who they're asking for. No. Like, really, like, from a recruiting perspective, I don't think they know who they're asking for. But I mean, you're pretty spot on when you say, yeah, Colorado commits don't, generally speaking, venture out very much. I don't know if that's something from within the program or if that's just,
I think it is. I think it's like them at Clemson do the same kind of thing.
Yeah. But going to be here, does have some nice offers. Took an official visit to Louisville before ultimately committing to Colorado. Offer from Georgia, Georgia Tech, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa State, Kansas State. Miami has an offer out. Ole Miss hasn't. So this kid's got some nice offers. So I don't necessarily want to say he's under recruited. He is an Armwood kid out of Seffner, Florida. It could be interesting, and especially if we talked about some of Florida State's defensive back commitments that could potentially be on flip watch for other programs. Talk about Za'Darius to Nebraska. Certainly Jay Timmons. We didn't mention it earlier in the show, but his visit to Ohio State is this week. Offensive lineman Jatori Williams is an Alabama commitment for the 2027 class. He's been on campus somewhat frequently, I'd say 3 or 4 times over the last calendar year, back on Florida State's campus here. So I think that's something, certainly that's good for Florida State to keep the pressure on this Jatori. And then Caden Fife, who was supposed to be on campus for a visit earlier this year, wasn't able to make it. I think it was the East Texas A&M game that he was supposed to come in for. Now going to be back on campus this weekend. I think this is going to be his first time on campus, so that's your chance if you're Florida State to make a nice early impression. And then Sam Lejeune, who is a longtime defensive line target, dating back to last year, I believe. Second visit this season. Probably his 5th or 6th visit overall. He's been here frequently. He was here over the summer. He was here in the spring. He was here for a junior day visit. All signs point to Florida State being in a really, really good spot with Sam Lejeune. But Does that matter with potential changes coming? How much does that matter for a 2027 guy? Kind of here or there, Matt.
Yeah, look, clearly he likes the staff and clearly he likes Florida State, right?
Yes.
And as we just finished saying, the people make the place in all this. So yeah, if the new staff comes in, you have no clue what's going to come next there. But at least as of now, early on, if this staff saves their season over the next few weeks, that is one to watch for 2027 as a possible like top commitment. Because I don't know where else he's been, but I think he's probably visited Florida State more than anywhere else. And I don't really think it's close, right? Twice this season, was here over the summer, was here before that. He's definitely one to watch if the staff stays. And, it's probably going to be one that they continue to recruit with a new staff as well, because he's going to be a big-time national guy. But
that's
so
yeah.
So that's one of those, if you do bring a new staff in, you hope that they have a previous relationship with them. But this, would you call Florida State the leader in this recruitment probably from the outside looking in? Yeah,
I would.
Exactly.
Probably outside looking in. Sure.
With not knowing anything, just looking at where he's visited. Yeah, that's where I'd say it's at with him. And hopefully it keeps going. But again, you need the staff to save themselves too.
Then you have a couple of commits visiting. This is what we kind of wanted to have the bulk of the show be about, or at least a good portion of it. Devin Carter, Xavier Tiller, Isaiah Williams. Those are your commitments coming in this weekend, and that is a number that has dwindled from the start of the season, where you saw most people coming in on unofficial visits, most commits coming in on unofficial visits. And we've talked about it on the show before. It's not always a pedestal. You're not benchmarking and saying, well, this commit has visited this many times, that means he's more locked in than this commit that is visited one time. But as we are kind of getting up against the wall, Matt, and you start seeing recruitments and commitments show up on other campuses, we've talked about Timmons, we've talked about Maycock, we've talked about Tadarius Hughes, you're starting to see your commitments start not to show up as much to your home games. Is this a tipping point where if Florida State loses this coming weekend or tomorrow, because it is Friday, happy Halloween, by the way.
Yeah, we should have dressed up today.
Yeah.
I thought about that this morning. But I had no costume to wear.
I don't know. Can I makeshift something right now? I don't know.
What do you have on your desk?
I got some gum. I've got some gum. I've got a coffee cup. I've got a fan here. I'm your biggest fan.
Matt. There you go.
That is my Halloween costume. I am Matt Lacier's biggest fan, and I am just lucky to be doing this podcast with him. Where were we? Oh, yeah. So,
tipping point.
Might be Halloween on Friday today, but something really, really scary might be happening on the football field tomorrow if Florida State loses to Wake Forest. If that happens, do you think that this is the tipping point where we might start seeing some leakage in the dam that is holding back all of these commits from decommitting from the program?
Yeah, I think so, because that's a step towards the staff being done, right? Because then you're looking at a 7-5, 6-6 year, and that's probably where you're going to draw the line. Would you agree with me that for this staff to save their job or have any chance of saving their job, and he might not even then, because I don't know how much people want to donate and fund another roster under Mike Norvell. Do you think winning out would save them, or even at that point it's iffy? It's the best shot
on how you win out. It depends on how you win out. I don't think that the staff is going to lose out. Frankly, I think there's a better chance of them losing the rest of their games and going 3-9 than there is a chance of them winning out.
Yeah.
To steal a note from our Irish O'Fell, it depends on how it looks. Because if you come out this week and you blow out Wake Forest, which none of us think that's going to happen, but let's say you have a comfortable win against Wake Forest.
I have to win by 10, by the way.
I have Wake Forest 24, FSU 20, I think. It's hard for me to pick FSU. It's hard for me to pick FSU until I have visibly seen that this staff has not quit and these players have not quit on the staff.
Yeah,
because I saw a little bit of that at Stanford. I saw a little bit of the SMU game and the Stanford game, unfortunately. So we'll see whether we get Jekyll or Hyde tomorrow. But
back on track.
Yeah,
yeah. So
this is the ADHD episode of the Warpath.
But so I said this last week, and I said this on Jeff Cameron's show right after the statement came out. we've said this multiple times, and I've tried to make a big point of it this year. Wins and losses in recruiting don't matter unless you're really good, right? You're 13-0, or you're really bad, 2-10. So, like, right, that's the tipping point. So this Wake Forest game, if you lose like 4-4, you're 500. You still have a chance to make a bowl game. 3-5, you're going over the tipping point a little bit there, right? So I do think week after this Wake Forest one is when you'll start see kids. I mean, you're already seeing it, right? You're already seeing Jay Timmons go to Ohio State. You're already seeing Hughes visit Nebraska more. Like it. I do think that the floodgates are very close to opening, and I've heard of the decommitments of kids going, and I've heard of a few that you would probably be surprised about that are thinking about making that switch. Now, I do think some of them would wait until a new coach is hired. Like we just said, there's so many little variables in this day and age of college football. It's really hard to predict, but I do think if they lose this game, you're going to start seeing those floodgates. Like right now, we're at a crack open, some water's getting in, and I think you're going to see it. Let's think of it like a double door, right? We're probably like this right now. For our podcast listeners, if you're listening to this, I'm holding my hands up to the camera and acting like a door. It's creaked open, and then it's going to be open, but maybe this door here stays closed, but this one's kind of open, and some water's coming in, and you're getting worried. I should do it this way, and then the dam breaks.
Right.
So I think
what's that? Do you remember this infomercial growing up? They're probably still running it, where the guy like slaps on some silly putty on like a leaking dam. Do you know what that's called?
Oh, Flex Seal.
Flex Seal. We need some Flex Seal.
Yeah, that's pretty much like So that's a good way of putting it. There's a hole in the tank and it's leaking, and that hole is going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger as you lose. And I think Wake Forest could make it a pretty big hole.
Need Mike Norvell to just some Flex Seal on it,
Right.
Just bang as hard as you can.
Oh wow! Pause.
It's what? Oh, dude, it was not weird until you made it weird. There are a lot of little things, and we discussed it earlier in the show, but there's also a lot of little things that would entice you to stay at Florida State. I think the brand is one of them. I think
and that new building,
the investment that Florida State has shown recently in the football-only facility and the new stadium is another. Early playing time is another. And look, Florida State is competitive in NIL. They're not in the upper echelon, but anywhere between 10 to 20. No, there are a lot of things that would keep prospects here at least waiting until you have a new head coach in place. But I tend to agree. I think if you look really, really flat against Wake Forest, and it's very clear that all the reporting that has come out about Norvell losing his voice in the locker room, players not being receptive to his messaging, it's going to be a prove it this weekend. It's a put up or shut up weekend. Yep. We've heard all throughout the bye week from the players and the coaches, more so from the players, I think, than the coaches. The coaches are more so in the we believe that we can fix this camp. The players are definitely more vocal in the we were intense in practice for the past 2 weeks and we have a mentality shift. And I'm kind of just like,
it's starting to become more individualized too.
Yes.
I need to put good film out there for the NFL, and I can't be showing bad film no matter how bad we are. Right. Yeah. I'm starting to get that a lot, which I don't know if I agree with that, but I don't know if I like hearing that from coaches that much.
Yeah.
Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah. I thought that was a interesting quote. But but considering the fact that it came from Surtain, who had a storied NFL career and had obviously coached at high school, he's coaching the NFL and obviously coaching here now. It makes sense that that's where that came from. You were going to say?
I realized there is one housekeeping thing I forgot to put on the list. Kavion Bryant's decision day is tomorrow. I don't think we have any reason to not expect Texas Tech. I just wanted to get that. Like it doesn't seem like anything has changed. Jace Johnson was at the basketball expedition game, but don't read into that. He was there with friends. And the Logan Flaherty, a guy who's kind of down the board, your quarterback board has kind of disappeared a little bit. But
Seaborn committed to Alabama too.
Seaborn committed to Alabama. Flaherty committed to UCF. It'll be interesting to see where they go here. You have the Milton kid that I think they would probably go to next is my guess.
Yeah.
Derek Baker.
Yeah. And then, hey, I mean, Peyton Houston, his coach just got fired. He committed to LSU. And it didn't feel like Florida State was – I know. It didn't feel like Florida State was ever really in that one. He took one visit and kind of was like, oh, went on with this process. There are other guys for sure. Do want to take a second to thank Andy Ludicky, sponsor of the Warpath with myperfectfranchise.net. Are you sick of your job? Are you ready to leave the corporate rat race behind? Do you have a job and want a side hustle? Do you want to diversify, build wealth, build a portfolio, leave a legacy? Andy can help you. He is a franchise consultant as well as an owner and helps people find franchises that fit their skill sets, passions, and financial requirements. His services are 100% free. He's here to help you if you have any questions about business ownership. And we've said it on the show weekly, and it's true. You can't have a conversation with Andy, talk about your financial future, also talk about college football, no matter where you are in this great country of ours. Head to myperfectfranchise.net to learn more, or you could text or call Andy at 404-973-9901. That's 404-973-9901. Thank you, Andy, and My Perfect Franchise for sponsoring the Warpath. Before we end the show, Matt, I do want to quickly go back. We kind of mentioned it earlier, but Matt Baker wrote an article for The Athletic that was kind of a national view on what happened with Florida State this season. And Matt targets the recruiting of Florida State. And this is something that obviously you and I would be interested in as being recruiting guys, but really, really targeted the fact that Norvell has not recruited well at Florida State. This is not a gotcha. This isn't a huge revelation that Mike Norvell has struggled at recruiting, but Matt in the article cites losing your top recruit at signing day multiple times, five times in a row, something along those lines. The leniency on the portal, the lack of development, the lack of top 100 players signed. But something that maybe kind of gets swept under the rug as well is the turnover of recruiting staff, which is something that you and I certainly don't talk about a lot. It's not mentioned as one of the main reasons as to why recruiting has struggled under Mike Norvell. What did you kind of think of the addition of that little wrinkle of there being a lot of turnover in the recruiting staff? Because that was, to tie it all into a nice bow here, that was one of the changes that Mike Norvell and the staff made at the beginning of the year when they made changes to their recruiting operation. That was something that was kind of swept under the rug a little bit. There were some recruiting staffer changes there. And obviously you bring in guys like Devin Rispris earlier in the season
who
to
have
kind
done
of
a pretty
help
good job for you.
Yeah. So what did you kind of think of Baker's article in The Athletic and in terms of what he said and what he added to the conversation, which the conversation really has been Mike Norvell has not done a good enough job despite, and it's not for a lack of effort, but he just hasn't done a good enough job on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I didn't even think about the recruiting staff turnover until I read that. It kind of, it's something that from being out there all the time, you see them come in and out, like you know them. And yes, you do notice that there had been turnover, but I didn't really think of it as, I saw the number 11 there. I was like, oh, wow. You start going through your head. Yeah, it really is 11. Yeah, that is a lot. So I wouldn't say swept under the rug, but making staff changes to a recruiting staff isn't a headline as is like a position coach, right? Like these aren't coaches. They're guys who are in the office recruiting for you 24/7. So it doesn't pop off. Like no one talks about that much. So I don't think it was swept under the rug, more of just it just happens. That's normal, right? So, but yeah, because those guys make relationships too. Those are the guys that are driving them around in the golf carts everywhere, picking them up, not even the golf carts, driving them everywhere around Tallahassee for their official visit in a regular car, picking them up at the airport. Like that's what this person is doing all the time. They are your host. They are your tour guide all week long, or all official visit long that you're there. So these guys are very important in the process when you have relationships with them. Like DJ Daniels has done a great job in the FSU building. Devin Rispis is one who's hit the ground running for FSU. And, you got multiple commits from, I guess one commit from Gaston County and probably more to come, right? We assume. But it's he's done a good job. And he's even Chicken Garbor.
What? Chicken?
Yeah, Chicken.
Are you talking about Chicken? Okay,
yeah.
Jabarius Garrer. God, you had me confused. Chicken.
Yeah, Chicken. He's done a good job in that recruitment as well. So some of these
I'm editing this week, so I'm just gonna have to post a photo of you and just Chicken.
Chicken.
His nickname is Chicken. For those who don't know, his nickname is Chicken.
But it's it's something I didn't really think about that much, but it makes a lot of sense. with the recruiting staff, and everything else was already really known. Like we knew that Norvell hasn't signed a top class, and I even said last week that I thought, or was it 2 weeks ago, that I thought that he could pull one out of his ass if Billy Napier gets fired, but then all the circumstances change with the loss to Stanford. So that's obviously not able to happen. Like that, do you know how weird that was on Sunday to know Billy was fired, but I go like I can't write a story on it of what recruits to watch, and I shouldn't like. There's no reason for me to hit up these recruits. Like that was weird.
Yeah,
because we'd really spent all season preparing for that, and then we can't do anything with it anymore.
Norvell has signed 5 of Florida State's 6 worst recruiting classes of the modern era, according to 247 Sports Composite. None have finished higher than 12th. Norvell's 6 classes have included only 10 players ranked among that year's top 100 national recruits. And obviously, Warchant is an on-3 team site, so our rankings are going to be differing from the rankings here. But for the sake of the article and for the continuity there, Matt goes by the 247 rankings. Where was I? Only 10 players ranked among that year's top 100 national recruits in 6 classes. In the 6 classes before his arrival, Willie Taggart and Jimbo Fisher combined to sign 32. FSU has signed only 1 linebacker, Nicholson, who was ranked among the top 50 at his position. That is something that I have hit on as well. Norvell has lost his top.
Yeah, we've talked about that with it.
Yeah. Norvell has lost his top ranked commit in 5 consecutive classes. So KJ Bolden, Kedrick Falk,
Travis Hunter,
Armando Blunt. Would that have been the other one? Who was the other one? No, that would have been KJ Bolden in that class.
Yeah.
Javion Hilson.
Who was last year?
Oh, Solomon.
Oh yeah, Solomon. Yeah, that was signing day. Yeah.
Who's the 2024 one?
2024 is Bolden.
Okay, so 2023 would have been Kedrick, then Travis Hunter, and then
so Travis Hunter, Falk, Bolden, Solomon.
Who's the 5th?
I don't know. So then that goes into this class, right?
Yeah.
Saying that they haven't lost it yet.
No, it would have been the transition class.
Oh, so whoever they lost then, does that really count as a transition class?
Probably not. So one final quote here that Carlos Williams gets quoted. Williams says, "I feel like we're a place where people get paid. I don't see it. I don't see the product of what we're paying."
They are a place where people get paid.
That's true. Do you feel like there's such a negative connotation in that? Do you feel like that's a problem here? That's one of the problems.
That's an evaluation problem, probably. I don't know. At this point, you have the talent, you have the resources. And that's when you start looking at Norvell, right? Like that's how this works. They've given him everything he can, and we're going to find out tomorrow if he can try to save himself. But like that, yeah, that's true. They're a top 15 NIL roster from everything we've heard.
Yeah,
like that's a fact. So he's the Carlos St. Lion.
Yeah. But I mean, you also take guys like Shamar Arnaud and Usman Kroma that definitely had an upped payday on signing day in order to get them into this class.
And you're trying to have to do that again to save some of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Financially, not a very comfortable position. It's a lot of financial mumbo jumbo, a lot of financial
cost benefit analysis.
Yeah. Oh, we're back to the economics again. Maybe we should end the show at that point. Thank you all so much for watching.
Maybe we should find an economics professor.
Yeah, maybe we should learn
about cost benefit analysis.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe people would be interested in that. I don't know. Probably not. We'll see. That's it for us. Thank you all so much for watching the Warpath. Have a happy Halloween. Hopefully have a good time if you're heading to Doak Campbell Stadium tomorrow to watch Florida State take on Wake Forest. We'll be back next week with some of the it feels like I say this every week. We could have a firing. We could not. We're going to definitely talk about what the official visitors said and some of the highlighted unofficial visitors coming into town this weekend. So we're going to have reactions to that next week. Maybe we'll have
GM Derek Ray was on a podcast this week that I'm going to listen to on the drive up that we could react to. There's a couple things that I'm looking at for next week, but yeah, we'll figure it out when we get there.
Taking it week by week, much like Mike Norvell and the football team are taking it week by week. Yeah. At least I hope they are. My name is Nick Carlisle, staff writer for the Osceola.com. That's Matt Lasser with Warchant. Thank you so much for watching the Warpath. We'll see you here next week.